Hey everybody, my name is Shane and welcome back to the Outdoor Tinkerer. Today, changed my plans again. I was planning on doing all of the tenons by hand, but it's going to take way too long. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do it on my table saw. I've made this sled quite a while ago, and then I've got this extension table, and I'm going to try some YouTube wizardry and hopefully put a annotation or a picture-in-picture right here. Maybe not. We'll see. But what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna cut all the tenons with the table saw, so I can get that done a little bit quicker, and it'll actually turn out probably a little bit better too. So that's the plan for today. Here's a quick tip about these table saw sleds. They're super simple to make. I mean, if you got a piece of plywood and two 2x4s, I mean that's what all this is made out of, and a couple screws. It's pretty simple to make. I'll pull it up here real quick so you can see what's underneath too. I actually just I measured and cut these runners. They're just wood, just scrap wood. I ripped them down to size. Screwed them on. Pretty simple. The one thing that you really do have to pay attention to, obviously, is the thickness of these runners, and you don't want them the full depth of the slots on your table saw, because then they'll cause more friction and make it harder to actually push the sled along. As you can see, mine pushes pretty easily. I don't have any wax, I don't have anything on it, just the runners, and it slides pretty easily. So the one other thing that you really want to pay attention to is the relation of this back fence to the blade of the saw. So what you really want it to do, unless of course you're trying to cut at different angles, is you're going to want to make sure it's square. And so a simple way to do that is just put a square up to it, move your sled forward, and make sure it's square. And it's square. So easy way to adjust that, you look on the bottom side. You start off with 2 screws. I just added these ones for extra support. If you start off just putting 1 screw in, then that gives you the ability to move and pivot this one rail. It allows you to have this fence 90 degrees from your blade. So you have the ability to actually move it and get it very accurate. And then just put that other screw in, and then it's solid. Now if you want to cut thicker pieces, I would suggest using a taller back fence, but this fence is nice because then I can clamp smaller pieces of wood to it, especially on these sides if they're longer and a little bit smaller, shorter. Some of my clamps, they won't quite get a good clamp on something that's right close to the table or something that's really thin. So something like this, where I can get all the way down to the deck with the side here. And this is actually just a scrap piece from a pallet. So here's the one that I cut out by hand, and I might have to do some cutting by hand too for these ones right here, this side, but that's okay because it would be really awkward doing something like this. Probably not very safe either. So probably not going to do that, because this is actually a short piece. This is what I'm doing for the first cut here, so just cutting the 2 sides, doing it for all of the pieces, and then I'll move the stop block and the depth of the table saw blade. So one addition that I made to the sled was I added a couple screws in here, 2 screws kind of in the center, just so that it felt like the sled was binding a little bit, and so by adding those 2 screws, it allows it to not bind, since it is wood, so it's softer than metal, obviously. obviously, so it might bind a little bit like that. But just adding those 2 extra screws for support in the center, I think it's going to really help it. This next part is where I'm going to be taking off most of the material of the tenon. I'm going to be making a bunch of small cuts along here so I can pound them off with a hammer and chisel. And I'll do that on all 4 sides. Well, I'll do it on 2 sides of each of the boards, and then I'll adjust the blade back down to this original depth. I should have done that originally, but that's how it goes. So it's going to take a while to get this done, but it's a lot quicker than probably cutting it by hand. So. Actually, I know for a fact it's a lot quicker than cutting it by hand. So, and it's hot, so. Let me give you a close-up view of this round. Step in this process is going to be cutting or getting these feathers off of here, and it's super easy to do that with a hammer. So you just knock them off. So this is what you end up with. And so what you're going to want to do is take a chisel. Go ahead and just clean these up. It doesn't particularly matter if it's super smooth or super level just yet. We can come back and fix that later because we got to do some more cuts along this side. Basically, we're going to do the same exact thing to all those other boards on the long side too. But I took these off first, because if we didn't take them off now, when we cut these long ones, the blade could very easily catch these and fling them everywhere, and I don't really want to have to be picking those up from all over the garage. So. So that's the last of those ones. Now I gotta cut the long ends. It's just really repetitious work, but it's kind of peaceful. So again, we've got more of the same stuff. The only difference here is that we're getting a lot closer to the end result. And that looks good. pretty good, I think. So these should just go in real nice and easy and be snug to the mortises that I cut later. That's the idea, at least. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm no expert on this. I've done some reading about it and I've watched some YouTube videos about this kind of stuff, but I've actually never done it. So this is my first time, and it's not really all that hard. As long as you take your time to try and learn something, usually you can figure it out if you try hard enough. So I'm going to keep doing with this and get back to you when I'm done. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. I've got all of the boards that I have cut out and measured properly. Got them all mortised. No, we've got them all tenoned. You can see here. So the next step is going to be putting all of the mortises in the posts, which are setting over there. So I'm going to have to mark those up and start cutting them out. I'm probably going to end up cutting them out with my router. I think I'm going to try and make a jig so that it only cuts where I need it to be, so I don't have to try and do it freehand. So that'll be an interesting, I'll probably do a video on that as well. Starting to come together. So if you like what you saw here, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button below. If you want to tell me something, leave it in the comment section below. And if you want to see more of these videos, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time.